very much. Invocation today is going to be led by Pastor Jeff Crockett from the Freedom Ministry College. I met Jeff back when I was running. He was a good friend with my cousin. He helped me with my campaign. They do a wonderful job in the area serving the people. Jeff, it's good to have you, and I appreciate you coming and doing that. And after we have our invocation, Zach, would you lead us in the pledge of allegiance, please?
Let's pray. Father, as we come before you today, we thank you for this opportunity to gather in this place, this great chamber where many decisions are made. And before we ask you for anything, Lord, we want to take a minute and thank you for what you've already done in our lives. Thank you for getting us all here safe this morning. Thank you for our health. Thank you for just presenting this opportunity for us to be here. And most importantly, we thank you for Jesus sending your precious Son. And with that comes salvation. Father, as the decisions are made in this room today, I pray that you would give each one of these commissioners the wisdom that they need. For the decisions that are made in this room affect literally almost 600, if not more, 1,000 people in our county. And so, Father, we'd ask, Lord, for the leadership to be blessed, that you would strengthen them, that you would give them the wisdom. Lord, you said in your word, to whom much is given, much is required. And you also said in your word that if we could trust you, if we could seek you, that you would give us the wisdom that we need to make these right decisions. You said when the righteous are in authority, the people are blessed. And when the wicked are in authority, the people mourn. So I pray for each one of these commissioners today that, Lord, they would take what they do very seriously, and that they would seek your heart, that you would give them the wisdom that they need. That at the end of this meeting, Lord, that you would be glorified and you would be honored in everything said and done. It's in the mighty name of Jesus that we ask these things. Amen and amen. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Zach. We appreciate that. Next, we have the approval of the minutes from our November the 9th. Thank you for getting those to us. Are there any corrections, revisions to those minutes? Is anyone, would anyone like to make a motion that we dispense with
I was about to say, I move that we make a dispense of the reading of minutes.
We have a motion to dispense with reading. And have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Minutes are now approved. We have presentation. We have a resolution recognizing the Chalkville Elementary School robotics team's achievement in the fall of 2023. Zach?
Good morning, Commissioners. On behalf of President Pro Tem Commissioner Knight in his absence, first of all, Dr. Verma and your students, if you would come up. These are some very bright students. And if you can come around a little bit so everyone can see you. Come on up, come on. Hand, come on. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and read the resolution on behalf of Commissioner Knight. It says, whereas it is the policy of Jefferson County Commission to recognize achievements by those who impact our community for the better. And whereas 12 students from Dr. Yuvraj Verma's 5th grade class at Chalkville Elementary School were among 2 of the teams that competed in the fall 2023 Coder Z League Robotics Competition. And whereas the fall 2023 Coder Z League Robotics Competition, which took place from August 2023 to November 2023, featured over 50 teams from across the country and consisted of students solving over 40 missions by programming a cyber robot And whereas these teams of young engineers demonstrated exceptional programming skills and teamwork by applying engineering and math concepts in real-world scenarios. And whereas the Chalkville Elementary School team, known as the Birmingham Naturals, comprised of Cameron Allen, Jaden Bibbs, Jeremiah Harris, Jalea Richardson, Ladarius Simpson, and Adrian Turner, demonstrated outstanding performance and was named one of 3 United States champions in this competition. And whereas the Chalkville Elementary School team, known as the Beeham Goofy Cougars, comprised of Emily Allen Bird, Patrick Catlin, Robert, I think it's Ferreira, thank you. Aaliyah Jones, that's what happens when you get these PhD moms. D. Carlos Mack and Antonio Mendez achieved commendable results and secured 19th place in the competition. And whereas both teams have featured on news outlets such as CBS 42, WBRC Fox 6, WBTM 13, and the ALSDE's monthly newsletter for their achievements. And whereas students on these teams have expressed their excitement to one day become computer scientists, STEM teachers, etc., after having participated in this competition. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Commissioner Joe Knight and the Jefferson County Commission of the State of Alabama recognizes and commends the outstanding accomplishments of both teams from Chalkville Elementary School in the fall 2023 Coder Z League Robotics Competition. So, Commissioner, if you would give them a round of applause for this wonderful achievement. Come on up, Dr. Verma, so you can introduce your students. And Dr. Verma came from Martha Gaskins. That's where I met this young man, and they won the competition over there at Martha Gaskins. So he's doing a wonderful job to represent our county. So come on up so everyone can talk with you. Absolutely.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Yuvraj Verma, and I'm a 5th grade teacher at Chalkville Elementary School in Birmingham, Alabama, in the Jefferson County School System. Thank you to all of you, the Jefferson County Commissioner, for inviting 12 of my students today to celebrate their victory within the fall 2023 Coders Elite Robotics Competition. Like Commissioner Scale said, 6 of the students make up the teams known as the Birmingham Naturals and are national champions. The other team of 6 are known as the Beeham Goofy Cougars, and they came in 19th place. There's several people who the kids and I want to express gratitude towards. Thank you to the Chalkville Elementary School principal, Mr. Michael Bissell, who's back there, and both of our assistant principals, Mr. Martin Austin and Mrs. Yana Mills. Thank you to the Board of Education, and thank you to the students' families, some of whom are here as well. And thank you to all of you again for having us to celebrate the great job of the national champs, consisting of Cameron Allen, Jaden Bibbs, Jeremiah Harris, Jalea Richardson, and Ladarius Simpson. And we also appreciate you all for celebrating the excellent job of the place team, consisting of Emily Allen Bird, Patrick Kaplan, Robert Ferreira, Aaliyah Jones, DeCarlos Mack, and Antonio Mendez. Thank you.
Antonio Mendez. Thank you. Jada Bills. Thank you. Jeremiah Marcel Harris. Thank you. Patrick Bofield Catlin. Thank you. Cameron Allen Gardner. Thank you. Jalea Richardson. Thank you. Ladarius Simpson. Thank you. Adrian Turner, thank you. Thank you. Emily Allen, thank you. Carlos Mack, thank you.
So, Commissioners, if you don't mind, since this is Commissioner's Night's resolution on behalf of the county, do you all mind if these children stand right here and then you all take a photo with them? And again, everyone that's in here, if you would absolutely give them a round of applause. on, come. So can you do me a favor?
All right,
I want you to
Zach.
double across.
You have one of Joe's cardboard cutouts.
So, come on, let me get the girls up front, Come on, guys, squeeze in. Come on, in. Come on down, come on down, up, come on, over. There you go. Right. Come on. There we go. Stand right there. Give it to me. Over. Okay, I want you to kind of up a little bit. There in front. There we go. And over. And turn it in. Wait a minute, hold on. I don't see your face. Come on. You don't have to push it all the way to the back. Up front. And I'm gonna borrow their hand. Come on, baby. I wear a hand first. And I want you to hold that, and then I'm gonna go up top. Is that okay? All right. So right there. You got it? You got it? And come on, put your shot up. All right.
Got one more card. Hold up, y'all.
Okay, I'm gonna take two. Make sure you keep your eyes open. Here you go. First one. One more. Got it. Okay. All right, one more.
Y'all sit. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll buy you one if you want to come to the school and raise one.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all go now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations. Congratulations.
We'll figure something out.
Congratulations. Congratulations. All right, man. Turn it back.
Next, we have a public hearing continuation for our July commission meeting at Rural Drive, Franklin Lane, vacation of right of way. Continuation of the hearing for July the 13th. Is there anyone in the audience to speak to this, or we do? So would you go ahead, Joe?
Morning, Commissioner. I'll introduce this really quickly, and turn it over to the developers representing the audience. This is a continuation. This is Commissioner Tyson's district off Shannon Road. It's about 700 foot between the two roadways combined. Right now, access is 7 homes. We were approached to vacate the right of way. The developer was looking at the whole site, maybe to re-subdivide and change some things up. So we were in favor of the vacation. However, there's some purchasing of the properties that may be delayed. I think the developer may speak to that.
Okay. Are you speaking on behalf of the developer, or are you the developer?
I'm speaking on behalf of the developer.
Okay, if you do that, I need your name.
I'm Mark Clark. I'm with Show Engineering, and we're 1022nd Street South End, Birmingham. And as previously stated, there's been some purchasing issues with the property. This actual vacation, as y'all know, has been continued a couple of times. And they had an October 30th deadline, and they were not able to complete all their purchases. They have, however, gotten extensions on most of the properties. They're still trying to work out a couple. Those extensions are all through April of next year. So at this time, their request is to completely withdraw this vacation from the agenda, and then if the development goes forward next year, then they'll just resubmit the entire package and start over.
Okay, so you withdraw. good with that?
We're good with it.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to withdraw the item.
Move the second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And in between that, I close the public hearing. Okay. Commissioners, you have 82 resolutions, that were properly vetted in our, Tuesday pre-commission meeting. There are a couple of series of, resolutions that I would like to pull for separate consideration, and give everyone an opportunity to speak. First is 57 through 61, which deals with the clerks. The second is 62 through 75, which I want to give anyone an opportunity to speak on the lane, if indeed they need to. So, the chair needs a resolution for 1 through 82.
Move items.
I have a question.
Okay, we get this second.
Move items 1 through,
82.
yeah, but I know 82, with the exception of, give me those numbers.
57, really 57 through 75.
With the exceptions of items 57 through 75.
And we'll handle those in the clerk.
For separate consideration.
For separate consideration. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now you got a question?
Yes, on, item 22, I wanted to ask, can any residents come, to get food out of the pantry?
Of course.
Okay, that's all.
Yes, that, any person in Jefferson County, and that's correct, county manager. Good. Funds designated for that, it was primarily for this food desert.
Mr. President?
We're working through that, and as we do that, yeah, there's going to be other areas of the county that are going to need this same consideration, and like you to work with the different commission issues to be able to make sure that all the residents have a convenient location to pick up the food that we have, the sustainable food to help them to have a better life. Okay? So, with that being said, would you have something to say?
Yeah, Mr. President, Widow Ryan, just for clarification, Widow Ryan had wanted to have an explanation of the targeted area. I mentioned that specifically on Tuesday as relates to Farsville, Graysville, Adamsville, that corridor of Cherry Avenue that leads towards Fultondale. So I wanted to be very clear as it relates to what the federal ask was in terms of making sure that the area in which the intended residents were addressed because of the fact that they had to prove that there was a food desert. So I just want to kind of manage expectations in terms of the amount that we're giving. And it is a 2-year pilot program. And so they had to meet certain requirements in order to make sure that those residents that are in that area are able to access this particular program first. So I just wanted to make sure we had an understanding, especially when we were putting this in a public setting, so that persons wouldn't feel that they were left out, because they're not. It was a requirement that those within those areas, that scope of work had to make sure that it addressed those particular residents.
Thank you, appreciate that explanation on that.
Yes, sir.
The next is 57 through 61, which has to do with the compensation of our two clerks. Clerks are, would they like to speak to this?
Mr. President, I was gonna say, we didn't carry the items. I made the motion.
We just, all in favor say aye.
I just wanted to make sure that that was
some different elections at different times of government. I think Clerk Parks is here to speak to the specific issues that were.
I see her now. She was behind, Zach there. I didn't see her. So Karen, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Commissioner?
We're doing great. Do you want to, speak to the resolutions that are affecting the, national cutoff area?
I would, sir. Thank you very much, Commissioner President, and to all the commissioners and to the attorney. Good morning, everybody. We had two separate elections. The governor called two separate elections that affected the decimal cutoff. On two separate days. One day she called the election for District 55, and the second day, another day, she called it for House seat 16. We were also having the Helena election that affects only the Western Division. So therefore, at one time, we had elections overlapping. So my days would be different than would be in the Birmingham Division. Although we are two separate offices, Ms. Smith and myself, we run two separate offices, but that would account for the days that will be so prolonged on my end. For the two separate elections, you have to run them separately. By law, even when your employees come out from general service in the election department, we can't even run them on the same machine. So one machine will have the election for House District 55, say for instance, hypothetically. And then the second machine will have House seat 16. They have to be run separately, they will call it two separate days. Now, if we're having one big primary, then you're being able to have it, it's considered to be precincts with the boxes. But when the governor calls two separate elections, they have to be run separately, so you won't run into any type of ethics or illegal problems. So that's why, and as absentee elections manager, I have to oversee both of them. And that's why you have two members on the same day, but they are run differently at the same time.
How many votes for, absentee votes for gas?
Not very many, but you know, Commissioner, the problem, not the problem, the wonderful thing in a sense about absentee is that whether or not we have 1 or 11, or we have about 17,000 as we did, but we couldn't afford some went here and we could not process, but say you had over 20,000 people to come in the decimal cutoff for the presidential elections, you have to prepare. I am not responsible for getting the vote out, but what I am responsible for, and that you have been represented very well in the decimal cutoff, is that I'm prepared. I'm prepared for if there's one come or not. Absentee is different than, say, preparing for same-day voting, or when you come in, that's different. Early voting is different than absentee. Absentee is a process, and you have to have your staff trained. You have to have the machines ready. You have to have the ballots ready. You have to make sure your ballot files in. You have to go through all of the necessary things to prepare. So if it's 1 or 1 million, you still have to prepare.
And I totally understand because you can't determine how many people that's gonna come to absentee vote or come and vote, period.
Right, absolutely.
So you have to be prepared for that. But I do wanna say that you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And the crowd had an opportunity to actually, when it wasn't my election, to come and visit your office. And it's a well-run machine.
I thank you so much.
And we appreciate the work that y'all are doing.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, absentee is to serve the least of these and the people who are in the beginning for they're disabled, and now you need to work, and there are several other things that have been added to the list of reasons why people can vote absentee. But I have to say again, you have to prepare. It's not one that you can just open up and say, okay, we're ready. And I'm sure that our absentee manager, in Birmingham Division, can attest to how it takes time to prepare. And so that's why you had two separate elections. Again, if I can go back to that, that wasn't something that I did. That was something that was called, when the governor calls those two separate elections that way, then that's how we have to prepare.
So when you did that, you had two separate staffs?
Yes, sir. We have one staff that have, in the sense that will work on one election and the other that will work on another. Now, when they submit their pay, that goes weekly. They go through Judge Naftel, and Judge Naftel and his staff will process their payroll, and it's a weekly payroll. So it doesn't really differentiate if they wanted to again or which election, they just know that they're working through that election cycle. But as absentee elections manager, I have to oversee those, and I have to make sure that they are running in the time frame that they're supposed to be with the deadlines that's given, all of the necessary requirements that's done for one election has to be done for the other. And so that's why the difference would be for mine being submitted, because I can't submit weekly and I have to submit mine after. And we're even allowed to work 7 days after the election for you call your voters, say if we had this, or to decompress, meaning to shut down and to get ready for the next, because sometimes, especially in the primary, you get the runoff, usually, not always, but usually. So there's a process that goes with it, Mr. President.
Thank you for that explanation.
Yes, sir.
Up here it's difficult for me.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Or math.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? I'm sorry. Okay. That's correct, sir. Among others, I had the Helena as well. The Helena, we also had the Helena, but during the same time in October, it would have been the House District 16 and the House District 55. They were, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. No, at that time, it's one primary, meaning that has already been set legislatively and constitutionally. When you get to a special election, the governor called those elections on 2 separate days. She called the House District 16, the House District 16 on July the 7th. So that's one election she called. Now, the next time she called, or prior to that, in June the 15th, she had already called District 55. So they're run separately. There are 2 different, when she calls an election, if she calls one today, it will be read differently, even if she put it on the same day to say it will be on that day, I will have to run it differently because she called it differently. It is 2 separate elections, it's ran separately. And we even have to use 2 different machines. I'm sure Judge Naftel can contest more of that. But there's no way that we can run those together and ethically be in the right and lawfully in the right. You have to run them separately. When separate, special elections are called. Now, if it was one general election or the primary election and the runoff, all the times, that's the same, regardless of the boxes in the precinct. However, when you have a special election and the governor called it, she called it on 2 separate days, which would make it that would be 2 separate elections. And we've always done it that way. This is not new. This is not something that has just been done. I've been in my position now over 13 years and been absentee manager since that time. I've never had this question. It's always been the same. It's always been held differently because, from my understanding, lawfully we could not run them together. And if that was not the case, then the county would have been able to put it on the same machine. And when I mean by machine, Commissioner Boland, I mean the machine when they get ready to print the results. They can't even put it on the same tape. So if it was the same election, you would have had one tape that would said House District 55 and 16 on the same. You have to run it as 2 separate elections.
I understand that. What I'm trying to get through this, and this is, it may require a legislative change. It's a former election manager for 16 years. It just seems that it's a waste of taxpayer money when I shall, assuming this is correct, I just pulled it.
Okay, go ahead. Yes, sir.
And this includes Helena annexation election that probably within the Western cutoff. 11 absentee ballots for all those elections.
Well, respectfully, sir, I don't know what your position was as absentee elections manager, but mine, I'm not responsible for getting the vote out. For my position, what I'm responsible for is preparing and making sure those 11 people that came through there have the best service that they can have. That we give them everything that's lawfully required for them to have. Now, whether it was 11 or 1100, in my capacity, in my position, I'm not responsible for the turnout. Yes, sir. Well, I don't mean to cut you off. Okay. Sure. Yes, sir. No problem.
You know, I see things that look different than when I was there. For instance, no absentee ballots were issued, yet 2 days were worked by somebody in your staff, either contract or in your house, after the election. So if you didn't issue any absentee ballots in an election, why would you have absentee ballot workers here working after the election?
Because of the fact that it doesn't stop. You still have people coming in. You still have people asking questions. Yes, sir. You have people, voters that are coming in now. First of all, if I can say this, respectfully, I take offense to saying any election is a minor election. Because of the fact of absentee, and I understand that there are people who do not, they put a bad cast on absentee. They don't really like absentee. But absentee is here for the people. And the Bedford Division deserves that, as well as the whole Jefferson County, to have the best that they can have. Now, sir, whether or not it's a minor election in your opinion or a major election, it deserves the same type of treatment. For instance, when even the commissioner race, when your race was going, we had a lot of people that wanted to vote for Commissioner Stevens. Let's say for instance, or whomever. We have to be there to answer questions. We have to be there to make sure that all of the answers, when they come in afterwards, we have to decompress, we have to shut down. There's a process that goes with absentee. It's not same day voting. There's a process. And I would be more than happy to speak with you, but I feel that the questions you're asking me are not in my capacity to answer as absentee elections manager. I think that you're asking me some things that will be of my opinion, or things that I'm speaking of lawfully, what it is that I do and not do, respectfully.
Can I say something?
For now, I reserve the right to certainly.
I think that goes back to the state. It has nothing to do, I think, locally, because anything that's changed differently voting is coming from the state. When they tried to stop absentee altogether just a couple of months ago, yes, we had to go down there and protest them from stopping it at the state. So this problem that I don't see a problem. Because we got the 22,000 absentees a couple of years ago.
Yes, yes.
I just, yes, see nothing wrong with that.
Right. And this is a special election, which the turnouts are not great in Jefferson County on any special election.
But we are just now catching on to absentees in our community. We are just now starting to absentee vote. Within the last, I would say, like the last 2 or 3 elections, big elections. I ain't talking about these special call elections. That we see now in our community is a big turnout in absentee voting. Now it's a problem. Mm-hmm. But before then, it wasn't a problem. So all of this, and there's a lot of things we need to address with the legislators. Mm-hmm. And I think this is one of our legislative issues that we have any question about. And I don't have any problem.
I would feel better spending this amount of money if we could have those 22,000 folks back. I would think that the staffing would represent that.
But it still go back to the state. It go back to the state.
But there's no way to determine voter turnout prior to that, respectfully. You have to prepare. For instance, I'm really feeling as if I am being, questioned about something that I have no control over. And that's not in the scope of my, duties as absentee election manager. I'm not responsible for voter turnout. That's not my job to get the vote out. My job, though, sir, is to make sure that you all are represented and have what's needed to be done at the office, whether it's 11,000 or 11. It's the same process. And that should be something to be commended for, that you are really having an office that's there and prepared. Not something I feel that should be questioned and really stated as if it's a negative thing.
I still don't think that the county appropriately, I said what I want to say. I will tell Mr. President that I have no issues with 57, 58, items, issues on 59, 60.
And I don't know, like, in our fiduciary relationship, between taxpayers and all, it's our responsibility if we see something that's different. And there was something different between the Birmingham division and Bessemer division. So, and it's our responsibility to bring it out. And I think I see Jackie back there behind the monitor. She probably needs to come up and address her. And I would add that I'm not sure that we have the ability, since you both are elected officials, to make any change except to question that.
Yes, sir. And I would like
And that we have done, okay?
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Also, I had a different election as well that might have extended my days. I just wanted to say that. Along with that, it kind of overlapped with the Helena. But thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Smith? Good morning.
Please
Speak
forgive
a
me.
little closer, Jackie.
Okay, yes.
My ears are stopped up today.
Well, I'm a little hoarse too. I'm dealing with some laryngitis. I have a cold. But I wanted to say that Karen did a great job in explaining everything. And from her perspective, I believe that she is correct. Now, from my perspective, which is a little bit different, I am Jefferson County, and she is the cutoff. Now, while we had also a portion of District 16, at the same time that we were running District 55, the legislative District 55 and 16, they were run, as she says. However, we had no one to come and vote in the Birmingham district. And that's why I did not bill for that. I bill for the first day the absentee office opens and the end of the election, which is clarified as the last day of the New column that comes in. But I also try to stay within 55 days so that I don't go above and beyond that. Now, Ms. Dunn does have a different set of rules that she has to go by with the elections that she mentioned. And so I see nothing that prohibits her from doing exactly what she did. But I'm here to just explain why I did not submit anything for 16. I have Danny with me, my absentee election manager, coming up, and he counts everything. We had no votes for 16. Therefore, when I prepared my invoice, I did not include it. And I think the question was, why was there a difference? She did have people that showed up for that. Now, I train my people just like she does hers. But at the time that I prepared the report, it was my decision not to request any additional funds for District 16 because no one came. And I think that each area
has a little different set of circumstances. She did have people that came and voted. I did not. Now, my staff received the same training, and they were prepared for that as they were prepared for District 55. And had someone showed up, I would have been billed as well. But that did not happen. So I just wanted to let you all know that since I have been elected, I've always billed from the first day the absentee election manager's office is open to receive absentee ballots until the conclusion of the election. And that's it, unless you all have any questions of me. I want to thank you all for inviting me down here to at least explain what it is that I do. And I also have some invitations that I need to send to you all because next week I'm honoring my staff. And I have those with me. Now, homelessness is coming up. We'll give those invitations to you later. Okay.
If I can ask you one thing.
Sure.
When you're absentee, just as a general course of election work, is the absentee office open on Saturdays and Sundays?
The only time we were open on Saturday was in 2020, when we had the legislators allowed us to open, and you all allowed us to open on Saturday. Now, that's the only time we've had that. And I've been questioned about my thoughts on that. I'd love to be open to the public on Saturday for elections, but that's not my call. Like Karen, who is absolutely correct, that's above me. That is the law. You, the commissioners, would have to determine to keep the courthouse open, and I believe that the state would have to make a decision on that, which is what happened the last time. And that happened because of COVID.
Who can we get the research at Theo about how do we get the elections that we can vote on Saturday? Who do we need to talk?
I think that that's the same thing that happened in 2020, and it's a combination of some action that would have to take place at the state level, and the other part of that was what happened in 2020 is that even if that takes place on the state level, it would be up to the individual counties and have a responsibility as well, because it's the commission's responsibility and purview to operate the facility. So there would have to be an agreement or approval of the commission then to open the courthouse. So it's a combination of things that would have to take place, and that's what happened in 2020. So that it was authorized, but then you're talking about some of the statewide level. So each of the various counties and their commissioners would have to be willing and open to open their facilities and staff, the operation, the security, and that kind of thing to do it. So it's a combination of state and the individual counties to authorize it being done.
It's initiated by the Secretary of State.
Correct.
So-
It starts in the county.
So I would like for Cam, on that, because it is now a legislative meeting coming up on Friday. I would like to put that on there to see about having Saturday elections when our elections coming up. I ain't talking about some special elections in March and November.
We may be getting out of the scope of what we're talking about.
This is what I want. I want to ask him to do this. I can talk too about Saturday voting. I would like for us to and I want to report back on this. And how do we go about making this happen? And then if it's a vote within this body, I want to put it on the agenda and a motion put on the floor for us to vote on.
May I say something about that? Back in 2020, Sheila, we had 2,000 people to come out on Saturday.
You know I know.
Okay, so to me, that's a lot of people that are concerned that apparently couldn't vote during the week and they chose to come out on Saturday. So that's why I'm saying my office will work with whatever is decided because we do not want to ever be in a position where we deny people the right to vote.
We appreciate that, Jackie, but this is two separate issues.
Yes, sir.
And we'd be happy to address that another time. Right now, we have 57 through 61.
If you will, Commissioner, let me read this one just to advise the commission. the question came up during the committee meeting was discrepancy in the days of each office, and both clerks have answered those questions. The relative statute to compensate an election manager is 171114. And I believe the Dustman Cutoff had a different election that also occurred with Helena. So the way it works is that the total compensation allowed is for elections held on the same day. So if there was a separate day that those Helena elections would be held, there were some separate submissions. So there should be a separate submission for any election that's held on a different day. So if there are two different election days, then there would be a separate submission. If the runoffs are held on the same day, then it's a single submission. So that's what the law states relative to compensation.
Do these resolutions reflect that?
I would need to, Ms. Steinberg said that there was a separate election for the Helena. If that's a separate election, then we may need to do some revisions on the resolutions, because I think the resolution, I don't think it specifically reflects Helena, and it might be appropriate to carry that one over. I think the district, the 55 one is fine, but maybe the other ones need to be carried over to correct those, and I think we have a meeting next week and we can fix that.
With these being elected officers, do we have that authority to withhold compensation?
I don't think it's withholding compensation at all. I think it's making sure that you have the correct resolutions to reflect the minutes. You absolutely can't withhold compensation. No, you can't.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We have 57 through 61. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move on.
Motion's been moved. I don't think that we can withhold compensation from elected officials, so, as commission president, I will second that motion. And we will, seek further clarification and at the appropriate time, proper education. It doesn't sit well to have that much money expended for 11 roads. But I don't know that we have the authority, as a commission to withhold that.
So I think as I said, Commissioner, they have to pay regardless.
Yeah, and Ms. Burke, John Burke has made her explanation, and whether we agree with that or not, I think that's the submission that she's made. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, appreciate the explanation. Developmental Services has resolution 62 through 75, which is demolition of nuisance properties. I'm going to have all those all together. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to any of these issues? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a resolution.
Move on.
Motion's been moved, seconded by Commissioner Bowman to approve 62 through 75. All in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any new business that we have? No new business? Mr. Lawson, anything?
No.
Mr. Martin has something.
Thank you, Commissioners. As I described Tuesday, we've been trying to establish a culture of continuous improvement throughout the county with our employees. We appreciate your investment in our training, and I just wanted to share and reward one group that's taking this and doing a really good job. But I also wanted to explain a little bit. Part of the training is how to identify waste and remove it. We really want to focus on adding value to the citizens and have it flow right to them as normal waste. And they've been going through the training. Our employees, not our directors, but our employees, learn how to look at a process, map it out, and remove the waste and make it a better process, more efficient process for the citizens. So one thing we're trying to do is reward them for bringing problems to the surface. You know, it's hard to, if somebody makes a mistake or something goes wrong, human nature, we want to kind of hide that and not bring it up. We're trying to encourage problems to come to the surface. If we can get that problem and dissect it and solve it, correct the process, then that problem doesn't happen again. So we're trying to encourage that, and one way we're doing that is having an improvement of the month award for our employees. And we have, since we've been started the training, I just went and printed, we have probably 40 or 50 improvement projects that they've done. And we tried to grade these out, and I want to explain one of them that's the winner from the purchasing department. So one thing they identified, they have to print POs, throughout the year. And you can imagine we have over 9,000 pieces of paper that are printed. They went through and looked at their office layout, all the people walking to and from the printer, going back to the filing cabinets. They had to keep that paper for 3 to 5 years. That took them about 200 hours a year. So the problem statement was printing hard copy purchase orders yields extra work and waste of time and dollars. So they went through our process and developed a way that they found a way to get in the computer system, and I don't know how to describe it, but they basically print a digital copy, store it on the server in the system. So in short, they're saving 200 hours a year in just walking around to the printer. They're increasing the efficiency because 33% of the time, due to the massive number of POs, somebody changes the PO, you got to change the file, we would have errors. So we're going to increase the efficiency, decrease the number of errors. And obviously save $9,000 worth of 9,000 pieces of paper. So it'll save over $10,000 a year for the rest of the time. And that's just one little improvement that this group made. And the way they went through the process was almost perfect. They yielded good results, and they got it seems like a minor deal, but if we can get everybody to do that, we'll be much more efficient and have easier jobs and we can serve our citizens the best. So we're buying lunch for the purchasing team. Is Valerie here? Come on up. Valerie led this team. And her team wins the improvement of the month.
Wow, thank you so much.
Behind the podium a little bit and let her so you move your picture.
Oh.
There you go.
Turn your certificate.
Now, Valerie, you can say whatever you want, but you only have 2 hours.
Good morning, everybody. I'd just like to thank Mr. Marcus for the platform. I'd like to thank Ms. Dixon and Dr. Matthews for being open and not pushing back on changes that have been in place for a while. I'd like to thank my team, and I'd especially like to thank Scott Stewart. I don't think he came in, and Latressa. Hi, and Latressa, because they actually made the IT stuff behind the scenes happen. And so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all, Commissioners.
You're very welcome, Commissioner. We'll start with Chris Bond.
I did want to say that we have a senior citizens Christmas party coming up. December the 13th, I'm asking for the commissioners to serve lunch to the seniors at the Boutwell. We have so far 1,200 signed up. We need volunteers to serve. I have put a letter in and the judges. I would like to see if they will come out. we need servers.
We're also, the department heads are volunteering as well.
Okay, well, that's great.
Our folks are into.
Okay, so we're gonna have it, it will be a catered event, and we know we probably will have, people that walk in that, have not registered through our senior services, so we might end up with way more than that. So just wear some comfortable shoes and be prepared, and it, on December 13th, you need to be there at 10. It starts at maybe 8, the buses will start arriving at 8, it's over with at 1. And the vendors, we have vendors will be there also, and we have, a couple of, y'all might not know, Miss Sankey and several other, performers that will be performing for the senior citizens. It's gonna be a great event, this is the first time we ever had one this big. And it's something that they requested, and they are coming from the cutoff, all the way, all 32, of our, senior services will be there. So I'm looking forward to it.
I heard you were gonna sing.
No, it's one of my talents, I don't have that.
You don't share that.